The MyMedia content that I've provided to my students has been positive. I've used both the webcasting, you know, just me talking to students with a whiteboard that I use to explain something, and that I did get feedback. They thought that was really valuable and helpful. And then I've also used a screen capture and done a PowerPoint presentation with audio. And again, that was kind of a recap of some things. And again, the feedback from students has been positive.
Really nothing, which is one of the best things that I could ever experience. I haven't heard anything negative about it. I haven't really heard anything positive, which tells me that it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And because I haven't heard anything one way or the other, that's really positive for me because, again, my job is no longer tech support because that program takes care of all of that for me. I can actually be an instructor again.
At this point, I haven't got a lot of individual contact yet, but I can see from the student performances that they're actually learning what it is I'm trying to show them.
I had been using Jing with my students in the past, and you know that was a free software they could download onto their computers, and it worked well, but because it was something new and different and they had to download it from a source they weren't comfortable with all the time, and it was limited to 5 minutes, and so there were times when my students needed more than 5 minutes to do a presentation. So when I heard about MyMedia, the fact that it was within Learn at UW-Stout, every student had access to the same tool, and they could record whatever length we wanted them to, made a huge difference, and I immediately thought this would be a great tool to use with my students.
Well, I became aware of it last spring semester, and I was approached by LTS to try out and pilot a new software called Kaltura, which sounds like a distant galaxy somewhere, but it was pitched to me in terms of being able to make the public speaking courses that I teach easier. And one of the primary challenges that I face teaching these courses, and I think any instructor would have if you have some kind of online presentation, is that your job becomes less of an instructor in that area and you become tech support. And probably about half of the emails that I get and half of the phone calls that I get are from panicked students saying, I can't get my video to load. How do I save this properly? How do I do all of these technical things? And so I had to learn very quickly how to do a lot of those things. But the MyMedia program and the program called Kaltura really helped with that. And so I'm not quite sure how it works or how it does it, but it really solves a lot of the problems that I was having. And so when LTS pitched that to me as something that could make me become an instructor again and not a tech support person, I was really sold on it.
I was teaching an online course, actually developing a brand new online course, and there were some things that I just really wanted to show the students how to do. Hard to do that when you're on an online course, but the screen capture idea worked really well. I can tell that the students are following what I'm giving them in the screen captures quite well because a lot of the details of the assignment I'm giving them are in the screen captures. And what I get back from the students shows me very obviously that they're understanding it and able to follow what I'm showing them.
I use a lot of different recording software and video editing software, or actually I have my students do that. And so I haven't really abandoned those. Students still use things like Windows Movie Maker or iMovie, but they use it in conjunction with MyMedia and Kaltura. And what it allows that student to do is to choose whatever program he or she wants to do in terms of recording and editing, and then simply uses MyMedia to upload that. So again, I don't need to worry about what programs I have on my computer or that I have to give them tech support in whatever program that they're using. It just makes everything work.
MyMedia actually I think is very similar. As I said, I'd used Jing before, and Screencast-O-Matic is another downloadable free tool that could be used. And when I went into MyMedia and brought it up and looked at what I had to drag around my screen and the tools I had to use, they were the same thing as I had used in those other tools. And so it was really easy to use, and everything's pretty self-explanatory. In terms of, you know, if you mouse over the toolbar, you can see what's available to you. And so there was no problem in using the new MyMedia.
They use it primarily to take the videos that they've recorded using whatever program that they choose, again, whether it's QuickTime, Windows Movie Maker, iMovie, whatever they choose to do, and then they use that to upload it to the Learn at UW or D2L site, and then I have them posted on the discussion board. One of the challenges that I've always faced teaching beginning and then advanced public speaking courses is that they're no longer a public speaking course. What happens is I see that student's video, their performance, but no one else sees it. And the great thing about this program is that it then allows that student to post to the discussion board, and that way other students can see what their peers are doing, offer them critiques. Then they're also able to get critiques from people other than me, which is a great tool for them because they get a greater variety of feedback. But it also allows me to do private videos. So if that person wants to post to the discussion board, if there's any kind of privacy issue or they're practicing on something, or if your class does not involve that public speaking part of it like mine does, it'd be a way for you to do both of those things.
I've asked students to use MyMedia to present to each other. I tried a jigsaw activity, which I've used in a face-to-face classroom before, where students are in jigsaw groups where they become experts on something, and then as the expert they go back to their home group and they share with everyone else in the group. And in this course in particular, I wanted students to learn about history over a long period of time, and it was more than one student could do, so they each had a time period and they had to share that with their colleagues in their team, and it worked really well for them to synthesize the information that they had learned into a 10-minute presentation. So they really had to think about what the key points were and how to articulate that and get their message across as expert in that time period, and it worked really well.
I'm not having the students use MyMedia yet, but I will be in the spring with another class. I always prefer to try it out myself before I have the students do something.
Primarily, it allows the course to become a public speaking course again, as opposed to just me watching their video. So rather than being a private speaking class, it's now again a public speaking course again.
Writing is not their strength, and having the opportunity to present something using MyMedia is another alternative. So I like to incorporate it into some assignments so that students can demonstrate their learning orally and in a presentation as well as in their writing.
Right now, I'm primarily having the students view the things that I record. In the spring, we're going to actually be creating some videos, some digital storytelling items, and they will be using it a lot in that way. I would say
pretty much the same answer with that, the idea that they get to spend more time actually learning the skills in the course as opposed to learning the technology. Of course, technology is important to any endeavor. Technology is so pervasive in everything that we do, it's important. But again, they're able to learn those technology skills but not be overwhelmed by them.
When I have questions from a number of students, rather than provide a written response, sometimes I'll use MyMedia because it's easily accessible for me as well. So I can go in and record an explanation, and as I said, I have a whiteboard behind my desk, so I can actually diagram something on the whiteboard and capture it so they can see it. So it's like being in the classroom with me. So it's been valuable in that way. And then again, just they had done a discussion and some assignments for me, and I took some notes and wanted to present my feedback to them, and instead of, again, doing it in writing, I chose to use MyMedia and some slides to share that information. The course's learning objectives include hands-on developing of some of these projects, and the only way that I can see to do the hands-on is to show them literally my hands doing it first to model what I want them to do. So it gives them a chance to see what's expected of them, and then they can learn to do it on their own.